If you want to look like a real company, not a flea market stand, this is the move. If you're serious about your brand, work with people who are serious about getting it right. SM Athletics.
Attention service members and veterans. Introducing the Griffin Law Firm, your trusted ally in military legal matters. From court martials to benefit claims, at Griffin Law, your mission is their mission. Here's VFL Marshall Griffin.
As a veteran and retired military attorney, I've successfully defended lifelong benefits and helped preserve professional futures. So I know that when you hire a military justice lawyer, you maximize your chance to get relief. With my unique experience, I can advocate for you because there's no military matter that's too big or too small. Let us help you make these critical decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Remain silent. Request counsel. Call Griffin Law.
For a free consultation, call 888-707-4282. That's 888-707-4282. Or just visit griffinlawdefense.com.
The buzzer has sounded. We are headed to overtime with William Pattison on Fox Sports Knoxville. This is Fan Run Radio.
And here we go live from the White Claw Hard Seltzer Studios. It's overtime with William Pattison and Tyler Barbaras joining you on a Tuesday from Knoxville, Tennessee. We appreciate you listening along with us. Over the next 2 hours, we've got plenty to cover, including looking at the dynamic in the AFC North as Myles Garrett has a need for speed, another speeding ticket for him, and it is crazy that he only got a ticket. We also have another situation in Pittsburgh where Cam Hayward is threatening to miss regular season games if he is not paid, but he's 36 years old. Does it make sense for the Steelers to make up and give him the money that he deserves? We'll talk about that a little bit later on. We'll also have our best bets of the night, courtesy of VIP Play. And then we'll take a look at the top of the comp. There are some really, really tough schedules out there. Yesterday, we broke down the AP Top 25, and there are 4 teams that play 7 teams in that AP Top 25. Which one is most equipped to have the most successful season? We'll also take a look at John Mateer. Is he in the clear following last night's developing revelations on Venmo? Very, very odd night for him, but we'll dive right into it with our first things first topic, and that is Tennessee's running back room. The Vols went through fall practice number 10 earlier this morning at Haslam Field, and as they worked through their 3rd week of training camp, running backs coach Darrell Sims spoke with local media following practice to talk through the process his unit has made through the offseason and the fall, and also the developments and progress that they have made in addition to that. With competition still unfolding, Sims points to last year's experienced duo of Deshaun Bishop and Payne Lewis as foundational leaders, while veteran transfer Star Thomas has impressed with a strong camp as well. Going on to say, quote, I think you have to look at the 2 returning guys from last year, Deshaun Bishop and Payne Lewis, and then you have to look at the rest of the room, Sims said. There's no really any set numbers or rotation yet. I think that's still working itself out as we get towards game week with the competition factor in that. I think you start with the 2 older guys, and then you look at Star Thomas, who is another guy who has played a ton of football. That's working his way and has had a really good camp. And you look at the 2 younger guys in DeJuan Morris and Justin Baker that are fighting for a role on this team, and they've done a really good job too. So we talked yesterday about the scrimmage from Saturday. And there were some good things. There were some bad things. The defense was really strong. The quarterbacks didn't impress to the level we would hope for this early in camp. But, there's still a lot of progress to be made there. But one of the highlights offensively was the running back room. And all of the guys had impressive days, whether it was a DeJuan Morris or whether it was a Justin Baker, or even some of the top guys like Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop. The running back room was pretty good. And I think the running back room offensively could be the most exciting part of this Tennessee offense once again this season. Last year, it was Dylan Sampson, who was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Felt like every time he was in the red zone, he was destined to make it into the end zone. And that was a guy that had a ton of big plays. And while Tennessee's passing game struggled in moments, you could always rely on Dylan Sampson to get you a couple of chunk plays. And it wasn't all just Dylan Sampson, by the way. Deshaun Bishop and Payne Lewis, they played their roles really well in addition to Sampson. And I think heading into this year, this is going to be a really exciting group because you've got Deshaun Bishop and Payne Lewis, two guys with experience from last year. Both of them bring something different to the table. I think Deshaun Bishop is a little bit more head down, kind of go get a couple extra yards. Payne Lewis is a speedster. Star Thomas is a guy I think you could use at the backfield as a utility back. And then some of these younger guys, a DeJuan Morris and a Justin Baker, they could find themselves in the rotation, as we know that Josh Heupel loves to use a couple of different running backs every year. It feels like ever since he's been here in 2022, you've had about 3 guys have some level of production. And I believe that to be true once again this year. And we'll talk more about this here in a second, but I believe this could possibly be one of the deepest running back rooms Tennessee has had in the Josh Heupel era. But the running back room is going to be exciting because you get a little bit something different with every single one of them. And when your quarterback play right now is not up to par because you're trying to figure things out, you've got a new quarterback coming in Joey Aguilar. You've got 2 younger guys working it out in Merklinger and McIntyre. You need to rely on that run game. And the offensive line is going to be very important in that. But you've got experienced guys on that O-line, like a Wendell Moe, who comes over from Arizona. You've got a Sam Pendleton from Notre Dame, and they do a great job of putting together some really strong offensive linemen. And now you have him come over from that crop. David Sanders, the crown jewel of this past recruiting class. This is a guy that's put on 35 pounds since arriving at Tennessee. That's going to be another guy that's going to be really important. And I think once you figure out that center position, will that be a William Satterwhite? Will that be a Sam Pendleton? That's a question we still have to figure out. But if that offensive line is able to hold their own like they did Saturday in the scrimmage in Neyland Stadium, then that running back room will have a ton of success. I think this running back room will be the most exciting part of this Tennessee football team this year. We'll welcome in Tyler Barbaras. Tyler, how are you on this Tyler Tuesday, and what do you make of this running back room?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Cut it close today. Lots of traffic. I guess it's from, all the new Tennessee Vol students moving in. It was pretty jammed, but happy to be here. This running back room, though, William, is going to be really, really intriguing because I think it's a gift when you have 3+ backs who can get you at least 5 carries a game. Like, you saw how good Dylan Sampson was last season, and he was the best running back in the SEC by far. But you kind of saw his body start to wear down a little bit towards the end, especially in that Ohio State game. But when you have 3 running backs that, all kind of do things differently, like Deshaun Bishop is kind of your north to south runner. He just goes straight. You have a Peyton Lewis who can do a little bit of both. Then you bring in Star Thomas, a guy that can really make guys miss behind the line of scrimmage. He's very agile. He's quick on his feet. He's nimble. It adds a different element to the offense anytime one of these guys are in the game. So I think that's a plus. Obviously, you want to have a lead back. You want to have a solidified RB1, the guy that can get you, 18 carries a game and rush for 100 yards. But sometimes teams don't have that luxury. But I think this is a blessing in disguise that Sampson left, because now you have 3 guys at least. That's not even taking into account Baker and Morris, the 2 freshmen who have looked very, very good so far. You have 3 guys that can get you, anywhere from 5 to 10 carries a game each, and they can all show something different. On top of that, their legs are fresher. When it comes to the 4th quarter and you're playing Georgia at home, some guys are going to be tired, especially that Georgia defensive front, especially this Tennessee offensive line. They're going to be working in the trenches all game. It's nice when you have a guy in Deshaun Bishop who can, be the lead back on the first drive or 2. Then you hand it over to Peyton Lewis for the 2nd quarter. And then maybe on passing downs, you can bring a guy like Star Thomas, who has shown some flashes of being a receiving back. And then once the second half kicks in, especially that fourth quarter, it's like these teams are worn out, but these Tennessee backs can still go for the remainder of the game. And I think that is a plus, especially in the SEC when you're going to play in close games. You're going to have to close games out like a Florida last year. We were behind. Obviously, the second half was much better, but it's like a game like that, or a game like Oklahoma, for example, right? We're kind of leading the whole game. We want the game to end as quickly as possible. You have Dylan Sampson, who ran the ball well that whole game, but he's starting to, get a little bit fatigued. Now you just bring in another guy, Bishop or Lewis or Thomas, and these legs are fresh. They can go, they can run, they're quicker, they're faster. And that's an advantage that I think Tennessee is going to be able to have against a lot of teams in the SEC, that this running back room is young, they're fast, they're quick, and you never know what you're going to get. It's kind of like a three-headed monster, three-headed dragon in a way, where everyone provides something different to the table, and other teams are going to have a hell of a lot of work to do when they're scouting this Tennessee running back room. So I think it's a plus. However, I obviously would like to see someone take the reins and be that, go-to guy, the guy that you got to give the ball to on a 2nd and 5 on the goal line. But I think that will start to take place as this team gets a little bit deeper into the season. But right now, I'm happy that we have 3+ guys that, can provide a spark into this offense. And I think for Georgia, week 3, that's going to be a luxury more than a negative. So very excited for this running back group.
Sims credits the program's recent rushing success to a blend of rhythm with the offensive line and a collective physical mindset, going on to say, quote, "Everybody understands that we're going to run the football in this program." And I think that the mentality that the offensive line sets to what the tight end set to what we're setting in the running back room, that's allowed us to be successful in the run game. And they understand that. They understand the standard and expectation of us. And, Darrell Sims came over a couple of years ago and replaced a very talented running back coach. And, this is a running back room that has always been really important under Josh Heupel. But going back to something that Josh Heupel said last year, I think could apply to this running back room and Darrell Sims group as well. Josh Heupel talked about the importance of Tennessee having a good defense. When he mentioned all the great Tennessee players that have come before these modern groups, like a Reggie White and like a Eric Berry. He mentioned those guys because that was the standard at Tennessee many years ago. When you think of Tennessee football, you can't forget some of the great running backs that have come through, like an Arian Foster and a Montario Hardesty. There's so many guys that have been integral parts to Tennessee's success during that time, that in order to have success in the modern era, you've got to have a good running back room. So while Josh Heupel mentions Tennessee's got to be good on defense, Tennessee's also got to be really good at the running back position. And I feel like Darrell Sims and Heupel and the staff have set the standard now to where we're going to use a lot of different backs, and that's going to be a focal point of our offense. When you think of Josh Heupel, you're going to think of big pass plays down the field. You're going to think of the 2022 season where Hendon Hooker was just letting it rip down the field over and over again. It's easy to get overshadowed by all that passing success, but the running back room last year was one of the most important parts of the offense. It was the mainstay of the offense. It was the most consistent thing of the offense, and I believe it's going to have to be the same this year, because I think this is going to be a similar dynamic offensively from what you had last year. Nico Iamaleava struggled down the field, and I'm not saying that Joey Aguilar is going to struggle down the field as well, but Joey's not as talented, at least coming into his college career, as a Nico Iamaleava was. And Nico missed on a ton of throws. I feel like you're going to have to learn to lean on that running back room once again, at least in the early portions of the season, as you kind of unload the training wheels on a Joey Aguilar who's still learning the offense, still learning the reads. The offensive line is going to be really important in setting up the running back room and setting up those big chunk run plays like you got last season. And knowing what we know from the scrimmage, should we expect the run game to be a focal point of the offense? The takeaways from the scrimmage were, quarterback's not that great. You had a pick six here. You had some missed throws here. Accuracy was an issue really for all three guys, more so more than one. than the others, but it wasn't clean. It wasn't like Joey Aguilar got out there and started looking like the second coming of Tom Brady. It was a little rough. So knowing what we know from this scrimmage, the offensive line was solid. The running back room was solid. You're going to have to rely on those guys because receivers got a ton of questions too. And it's going to take time for them to get integrated, especially with a lot of young receivers, guys that don't have a ton of experience in the SEC. Bishop and Lewis weren't the bell cow guys last year, but they played in the Georgia game. They played in the big games last year. The Alabamas, the Floridas, they were in those big games last year. So they've got the experience of what it's like to go up against SEC defensive lines and SEC linebackers. You can't really say the same for a Travis Smith Jr. or Darius Jackson or a Joakim Dotson, any of those young freshman wide receivers that are probably going to get an opportunity to play big-time minutes this year. So I think it was big that the offensive line was solid and that the running back room was solid because that's going to have to be the focal point of the offense early in the season. And if you can rely on Deshaun Bishop and Payne Lewis and Star Thomas and that opener against Syracuse and kind of easing your way into that Georgia game, I think that's really valuable to at least have something that you know was going to work. The passing game, we're going to have to figure out. The wide receiver connection, the quarterback connection, we're going to have to figure that out. The running back room, I think, is, at least right now, something you kind of take a deep breath about and be like, okay, I think that'll be fine. Tyler, what do you make of it?
Yeah, I think you're expecting to, have a weird period in time where you're still trying to figure things out, especially with the quarterbacks, with the offensive line. It's like you lost a lot of guys. I mean, you lost your captain on your offensive line in Mays. So there's a lot of, readjusting that this unit is going to go through. But I think with the proper coaching, with the right mentality, and just with the right players in place, and I'm not talking about talent, I'm talking about guys that want to get better, guys that want to push their teammates to get to the highest level possible. That's how you have a good offensive line. Like you see unranked offensive tackles commit to a D2 or a JUCO, then they transfer to, a D1, and then their junior year, they're in a Power 5 school starting at tackle. It's like offensive linemen, they don't translate immediately from high school to college. It's a slow burner. So I feel like with this offensive line, you're just going to need to give it time. But I think bringing in David Sanders, that's a big plus. That's a boost that this Tennessee offensive line very much needed. However, I do have questions about the interior offensive line. A lot of them are transfers too, which is good. I mean, Pendleton, he has experience at a great football program in Notre Dame, went to the postseason last year. So that's a guy that, I expect to be able to pick it up fairly quickly. But there are other guys like Lance Hurd, who wasn't very good last year. A lot of question marks about him. However, I think when, you have a quarterback in Joey Aguilar that can move around the pocket, improvise, scramble, that'll take a little bit of the weight off this offensive line unit. And these running backs too, I already touched on them, won't talk about them much longer, but their ability to do a lot of different things behind the line of scrimmage is going to help this offensive line get more comfortable. And I think with this offensive line, Georgia is like a very big test early into the season. You're going to know a lot about this offensive line going into week 4.
Yeah. And, going back to what I was talking about earlier, where Tennessee's always had success in the running back room. It's always been a focal point. You can even go back to when Josh Heupel first arrived. You had guys like a Tyon Evans and a Jabari Small in that running back room. And then you went on to the Jalen Wrights of the world. And, Jalen Wright, Jabari Small, Dylan Sampson were that focal group in 2023. And then last year it was Dylan Sampson in this collection of Deshaun Bishop and Payne Lewis. It's not a bad thing to have a lot of good running backs in your room. And Darrell Sims talked about that earlier today when asked about how good of a problem it is to have Deshaun Bishop, Payne Lewis, and Star Thomas. He goes, quote, "It's a good problem because I think competition never lets you be complacent. We talk about it all the time. Good is the enemy of great. So when you have a whole room, and it's not just these 3 guys," he went on to say, you sit up there and look at the 2 freshmen that we have in there, and DeJuan Morris and Justin Baker. They don't want to take a backseat to anybody. So they're competing their tails off as well. So everybody in that room, including Hunter Barnes, you have 6 guys in that room that are competing their tails off to go play. it's good to have healthy competition. It's good to have everyone in that running back room want to play, want to start. Deshaun Bishop, Payne Lewis, and Star Thomas, all of them were trying to do that this year. They're all going to be at some point a big play or a big play away from being a big time impact, because all of them are going to get reps this season. I don't really look at Tennessee having a starting running back. I just look at it as you can kind of pick your poison. But even some of these younger guys could possibly get involved this year as well. And I think it's a really good problem to have, that you continue to recruit to the level that you're able to go into a season like this and say, hey, we've got so many good players in this running back room. We don't really have a go-to starter. There's not really a decision right now. All these guys are competing really hard. All of these guys could possibly make a play one day. And I think that's a good thing. And it goes back to Josh Heupel and company setting the tone of Tennessee is going to run the football and we're going to do it well. Echoing the guys that came before him that were very successful, the Alvin Kamaras, the Montario Hardesties, the Arian Fosters, even Jalen Hurd, guys like that, just running backs that you knew you could hand the ball off to and would go make a play. And I think you have that in this group once again this year. I think arguably this is the deepest running back room Tennessee has had. I think Jabari Small, Jalen Wright, and Dylan Sampson's pretty far up there as well. All those guys were NFL level players. But this one right here could be as special. I don't know. Right now, I wouldn't say Star Thomas is going to be a guy that gets drafted, but who knows after being in this Tennessee offense. Jabari Small didn't really look like a guy that was going to go to the NFL. And, he didn't get drafted per se, but he's bounced around the league. He's in the preseason once again this year. Who knows? I think Deshaun Bishop and Payne Lewis could definitely, if they have big seasons, start getting on some NFL boards for the upcoming year. And even some of these younger guys, DeJuan Morris and Justin Baker. Baker looked really good in the scrimmage on Saturday, and that guy's a freshman. And you're also recruiting at a high level too. Savion Hyder, a possible 5-star commit here coming soon. Now he's kind of divvying it up between Michigan and Tennessee, but that would be another guy that then starts another train reaction of really good running backs you have coming through. So Tennessee's done a great job recruiting these guys, bringing them in, having the depth to where you have a problem like this, where you got 3 guys you could go to, and that's a good thing to have.
Yeah, wasn't sure if you continued, but I think one thing about running backs, especially in college football, and even like with the Tennessee system itself too, you don't need a rush for 100 yards every game to get drafted. And even if you do, you still might not be a first-round pick or second-round pick. Like Dylan Sampson was a, third-round pick?
Third or fourth.
Yeah, third or fourth. I mean, Jalen Wright was another guy that was great, but he didn't have any crazy eye-popping off-the-page statistics or game logs. But as a running back, if you just show the upside, you show your speed. Like, all you need to have as a running back to get drafted essentially is good vision in college and a very good combine. And you're more than likely to get drafted, especially if I'm not saying I can go out there and get drafted. Well, maybe I could. Who knows?
Tyler, I'd pump the brakes there. I don't think you're getting drafted, but continue.
All right. Well, anyways.
Tyler, you think you're going to get drafted in the NFL?
Yeah, I think there's a shot.
What's your height and weight?
I'm like 5'11", 185.
Next.
I could be a slot receiver. What was
okay?
Wes
You were
Welker's
just going to be a running
measurements?
back.
I could be a fullback. I can block.
We'll go back to the conversation.
Anyways, I think with the running backs and about this Tennessee group specifically, you don't need to have any eye-popping numbers. You don't have to, in 10 attempts, you don't need 100 rushing yards. Like, you're not going to get 10 yards a rush. But if a guy like Deshaun Bishop or a guy like Peyton Lewis, they just come in the game, they work for first downs, they're awesome in, third and shorts, they always get you that first down, they're good in the red zone, they don't fumble the ball, then they're going to be on college or NFL teams' radars. And then you go into the combine, you have a good combine, and just like that, you're like a 4th, 5th-round draft pick. And we've kind of seen that with Tennessee running backs recently. Like, Alvin Kamara was great, but he wasn't a first-round draft pick. He was, a 3rd or 4th-round guy, and now he's one of the best running backs in football. Running backs are always so, not overrated, but what you do in college doesn't, it doesn't, it's not an indicator as to how good you will be in the NFL. So I think with this Tennessee running back group, they can have 3 guys this season that can play great. Sure, maybe the highest rusher out of the group of Bishop, Lewis, and Thomas, maybe the leading rusher in that group of 3, 600 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. And then the other guy has 450 yards and 4 touchdowns. Then the other guy has 350 and 4 touchdowns. The guy with 350 and 4 touchdowns could have more upside. He could look better in his sample size, but I think that's the beauty with having so many talented running backs, that you can never have too many running backs, especially when they all do different things. And they can elevate this team to a level that we necessarily haven't seen out of the running back room. Now, I'm not saying Dylan Sampson didn't elevate the running back room. He certainly did. But when you have 3 guys that can do that instead of 1, I think that's more valuable. Yeah. So really like this running back group. You just got to hope that they can stay healthy, because when you have 3 guys that can all do different things and add another dynamic element to your offense, like I said earlier, it's so hard to game plan for that, because one day Thomas can be your lead back, the next day it could be Bishop, week after that it can be Peyton Lewis. They just got to stay healthy, and Heupel just has to understand how to use them. And if he does, then this can be one of the best rushing attacks in the SEC. Now, obviously, the offensive line has to do their job as well, and that's a big question mark. But I think overall this running back room should be very good. And if there were to be an injury, I can step up in place.
A lot of great options for the Tennessee Volunteers at running back this upcoming season. On the other side, we'll talk about an interesting selection of Venmo receipts from Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer. Are we buying Mateer's public apology today, or public posting of innocence, if you will, about possible sports gambling violations on Venmo? We'll break it down when we return right here on Overtime, presented by, what is it? Presented by VIP Play. That's what I about said, the slate. Presented by VIP Play on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Hello, is Tina there?
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Vince from the hit reality show Wives Don't Tell. Tina applied for our show to confess that her husband won't go to the doctor to get his erectile dysfunction checked. She said she's ready for a guy that can bring the heat.
All right, what the hell is going on? You know you're talking to her husband right now? Tina!
Well, she wrote the application that her man's performance is questionable. She's basically married to a coffee table. She also said, we live within driving distance to Men's Pro Knoxville, but he's too scared to get a blood test.
Oh my, she is done. She is so done.
Gotcha, Mike. It's Nephew Tommy. Ain't no reality show. It's a prank. Men's Pro Knoxville is the real deal, fellas. Local experts, test results in minutes. Call 865-544-8220 or hit menspronknoxville.com before your lady books a new co-star. Men's Pro Knoxville, making it happen.
Got a flat tire? Strange noise under the hood? Don't stress. Roll into Matlock Tire and Auto Service. From oil changes and brake repairs to brand new tires, Matlock's certified techs do it all. Fast, friendly, and fair priced, Matlock is the home of the price match guarantee. Bring in any competitor's ad and Matlock will match the exact same tire for the exact same price. Matlock Tire and Auto Service. 5 locations in East Tennessee. Visit MatlockTireService.com to find the location nearest you and schedule your appointment.
Yee-haw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-88-99789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
Are you looking for a treat that will knock it out of the park at the next watch party? Just like your favorite baseball team, Crumble brings the best lineup week to week with an expanded roster that includes key lime pie, strawberry cake, or my personal favorite, Monster featuring M&M candies. Let Crumble treat you to the best cookies in the game. Download the Crumble app and start earning rewards. You can even vote monthly on what flavors you would like to see at any store of your choice. Warmer weather is here, so get to the ballpark, but don't miss the cookies.
Ready to launch your career? Axle Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axle proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axle, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axle Logistics is the place to start your career.
Presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me.
All right, back here on Overtime, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you listening along with us, however you may be doing it. Reminder to go claim your VIP Play welcome bonus. When you make your first bet of $5 or more, you'll get $100 instantly in bonus bets by using the code FANRUN. That's FANRUN in all caps to claim those bonus bets. And new and more convenient deposit and withdrawal methods are coming soon. So the next VIP Play app update will continue to upgrade the betting experience. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 years or older and located in Tennessee to bet. Okay, let's switch over to John Mateer. A very interesting story coming out of college football. Started kind of surfacing around social media last night after we got off the air. And Oklahoma quarterback John Mateer called the descriptions of payments that reference sports betting on his Venmo account as, quote, inside jokes, and denied ever betting on college football or other sports in a statement released this afternoon, saying, quote, the allegations that I once participated in sports gambling are false. My previous Venmo descriptions did not accurately portray the transactions in question, but were instead inside jokes between me and my friends. I have never bet on sports. I understand the seriousness of that matter, but I recognize that, taken out of context, those Venmo transactions suggest otherwise. I can assure my teammates, coaches, and officials at the NCAA that I have not engaged in any sports gambling. And this comes after screenshots and a video of transactions for a Venmo account in Mateer's name began surfacing on social media Monday night. 2 payments from November 20th, 2022 were sent to a Richard Roten and captioned sports gambling, with one referencing the USC-UCLA football game that took place the day prior. The Venmo page went private later on Monday night, and ever since, there's been a lot of people questioning John Mateer and whether this is accurate. Do you believe Mateer? Well, I use Venmo. You probably do at home as well. There are a lot of times where you say in the caption stuff that isn't actually accurate. Like if you're buying, someone a beer at a bar, you might say like, I don't know, just something outrageous.
Little bites.
Or, and there have been plenty of other screenshots from quarterbacks that have leaked out. Arch Manning had a couple of ones. And
those are worse.
This is a quote, by the way, like butt stuff was one of them. But that's the type of stuff you send to your friends. What nerd is looking at a quarterback's Venmo history from 2022, I think is a fair question to ask. But when you send these Venmo transactions, most of the time you're being lighthearted and funny. And I imagine that John Mateer was doing the same. Now, I will say sports gambling in the description is a little odd. I wouldn't say that's like the first thing I would think of when I would, be trying to say something funny, but he is a college athlete. Maybe that was an inside joke between him and his teammate at Wazoo. And that Richard Roten was a former offensive lineman for Washington State while Mateer was there. He now plays for Abilene Christian. But this is lighthearted stuff. I don't really read much into it. I think it's just more so we're 10 or 13 days away from week 0 beginning. Everyone's trying to quench their college football thirst. And stories like this pop up and everyone talks about it. If this happened in middle of week 1, I don't think really anyone cares. But it's just everyone's kind of so dry right now for news that you ended up talking about it. But I do believe Mateer. I think he'd have to be dumber than a bag of bricks to actually gamble on a game and put that in the Venmo description. If you were trying to get away with something, you probably wouldn't put it out in the open and say, oh, yeah, this is what I did. Like if you stole money from someone, you wouldn't say, yeah, I stole money from someone and put that out there.
Robbing a bank.
If you're a college football player that knows you're not allowed to gamble, you probably wouldn't, put out there that you just gambled on something if you actually did, if you were trying to hide it. So I do believe Mateer. I think it was lightheartedness, and whoever was able to find these screenshots from 2022 on Venmo, I mean, who the hell is scrolling Venmo, specifically a college quarterback, in the evening hours on a Monday? I mean, how bored do you have to get?
You know what they're calling it?
What?
The Venmo Gate.
The Venmo Gate. Well, that's creative. They put Venmo and Gate together, but I don't know. I named it as Mateer in the clear. I think that's got a little bit more ring to it. But Tyler, what do you make of it? Do you believe Mateer and what he had to say today?
If the whole Arch Manning and Diego Pavia Venmo leaks hadn't have come out, then yeah, I would believe it. But Arch Manning in 2022 made several Venmo payments drug related. So it's when in 2022, he was a senior in high school, the best quarterback in the nation. And he's sending Venmo receipts, or he's paying people money, and the captions are ZA and THC. I don't think Arch Manning, a guy that has everything to lose going into his first year at Texas with sky-high expectations, would say or would type out those things in a Venmo request if he wasn't actually getting what he said he was getting or receiving. So it kind of confuses me, because now you're seeing all these Venmo transactions and Venmo history receipts coming out. I mean, there are people that are doing that for Orioles players. It's now everyone's just interested in what professional and collegiate athletes are doing on their Venmo. So it's it certainly could be a joke. I make jokes with my buddies all the time too on Venmo. Not going to get into that, but it's it's a natural thing to do for kids. You're buying your buddy a beer and then you just say something foolish instead, because you don't want to say beer. You want to say something funny.
What would you say, Tyler?
I don't know. Fruit snacks.
Okay, that's a very specific.
Smoothie King shake up. I don't know. Just it just wouldn't I never say what I'm actually buying.
Sure.
On Venmo, or what I'm paying someone for. Usually I'm just too lazy, so hit the little party emoji instead, or the house emoji usually. But it's if Arch Manning and John Mateer are going out of their way to actually type out ZA and USC gambling game, it's how dumb are you to actually do that, thinking that it's a joke when you're a college athlete and you have everything to lose? So there's a part of me that somewhat does believe it, because now we're seeing this pop up for a lot of different athletes. But at the same time, these kids are the same age as me. They have the same humor as me and you do. So it's this is what we would do, just because they're, playing college football with the hopes to get drafted to the NFL doesn't mean that they can't also act like a kid and act their age and, have these jokes on Venmo. This is a thing that we've been doing for years. So it's I understand that, but now that all these receipts of all these other athletes are coming out and none of them are good. They're not even funny. They're they're
for
bad.
the other athletes though. I think the only reason why they're coming out is because
everyone's interested.
I mean, okay, John Mateer's got one. Okay, what is Arch Manning? You know, if you're a big name quarterback, I mean, I saw him ranging from Marcel Reed at Texas A&M to Diego Pavia to Arch Manning, but I think it's more just a little social media trend currently. And some of these are Photoshop too. Some of them are not even real, but people are going in there taking a screenshot of their thing. I could care less. And this kind of segues into the second part of this. You know, with all the other issues we have in college athletics right now, where guys are getting, you know, millions of dollars to play college football, to be poached from another school. We had, you know, the Nico Iamaleava situation here in Knoxville not too long ago, where Nico was, you know, going to other teams and trying to gauge interest and gauge a dollar sign, at least his camp was. Like, that type of stuff is a much bigger issue than a couple of senseless Venmo transactions or, you know, a guy's, you know, throwing a couple of bucks on a game, you know, while they're hanging out in their dorm room. Like, we've got more pressing issues in the sport than cracking down on Venmo transactions. Now, look, it'd be different if John Mateer had like bet on a, you know, and I'm just saying, any quarterback, any player, it'd be a bigger deal if a guy had bet on his own game and threw it, or, you know, took his under and knew he wasn't going to play, or faked an injury, like something like that. Something more Jonte Porter-esque in the NBA world. That'd be a different story. But just a lighthearted, you know, sit in the dorm, let's put $10 on this. We got bigger issues in college athletics than that. So I think this is a thing that got blown up out of proportion. It's a bigger deal than it should be. But again, we're a couple of weeks away from college football beginning, and everyone is itching just to get something riled up and to talk about. So I think it's a whole lot of nothing, and it's a lot bigger deal than it should be. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, 1,000%. I mean, if people actually care what 21-year-old kids are typing underneath their Venmo transactions, then you're a loser. But, you know, certain people, older people, they care about those types of things. They, you know, treat these college athletes like they're professional NFL players when some of them are literally the age of their own sons or daughters. It's the people that actually care about this. You see that it's evident on the internet, but for people like us, William, our age demographic, we just think it's funny. And honestly, you're probably going to see more Venmo Gate things pop up over the next couple of months, just because people are now even more curious about what, you know, these athletes are saying under their Venmos. But I couldn't really care less. If, however, John Mateer were to have an absolutely awful game in the biggest game of his life, and you saw that it was kind of obvious that he wasn't playing well, then maybe you look into it, kind of like the Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase situation with the Guardians. Like, they were purposefully throwing bad pitches every first pitch of the at-bat because they knew that their buddies were betting on him. So if something pops up like that with Mateer, then it'll definitely be investigated, but I don't think you're going to have to worry about that.
Yeah, John Mateer, I think, is a good dude. I think, you know, he's just being funny, lighthearted, and it shouldn't be taken much more serious than that. And look, I mean, he's going to be a big part of this Oklahoma team this upcoming season. I think John Mateer is a top 10 quarterback in college football. You bring over Jaden Ott from California, a 3,600-yard rusher, or all-purpose yards player during his career. Deion Burks comes back. Oklahoma's got a lot of questions to answer this year, more so focused on Brent Venables and his ability to have success in the SEC. John Mateer is going to play a big role in that. I thought he hit it head on this morning and today. Came out and said, I've got nothing to do with this. I've never gambled before, puts out the statement. And I think in tomorrow's news cycle, we'll be done with this. I think he handled it well. And I think that speaks to his character, who he is. I think he's a good dude. And, you know, I hate that he has to deal with this just because of some guy sitting in his basement with a TV dinner in his drawers decides to stir something up.
You think John Mateer likes the Vols on the points in that matchup?
Well, he better not, because he'd be right back in the same hot water. But If you do at home, make sure that you download the VIP Play app. All 12 games for the Tennessee Volunteers are currently available right now on the app. That's the only place in the state of Tennessee where you can bet on all 12 Tennessee regular season games. If you feel like Tennessee's a good shot right now at 3.5 against John Mateer's Oklahoma Sooners, you can take it right now by using the code FANRUN. That's FANRUN in all caps on the VIP Play app. You get $100 in bonus bets when you make your first deposit of $5 or more and bet that. And you can get right into the action and take any of the 12 Tennessee regular season games on the app. And when we come back on the other side, it's our best bets of the night presented by VIP Play. Stay right here. It's overtime on Fan Run Radio.
Catch up with all things Fan Run by subscribing to our podcast feed. Like, rate, and download the show from the Fan Run app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Knoxville. Surfside iced tea and vodka made with real brewed tea is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Rickard Ridge Barbecue, located in beautiful Cove Lake State Park. Rickard Ridge is home of the best ribs in the Volunteer State. Smoked daily by Pitmaster Mark Rickard. The barbecue at Rickard Ridge is mouth-watering, fall-off-the-bone delicious. Take the scenic drive up I-75 to exit 134. For directions and to look at the rest of the menu, visit Rickard Ridge online at rickardridgebbq.com.
Airlines have just reduced their prices even more. Book 30 days in advance and save big.
Want the absolute lowest prices on your airline tickets? Then call the Low Cost Airlines Travel Hotline right now. For prices so low, we can't publish them anywhere. The only way to access our low rates and save up to 70% is to call. Save hundreds on your vacation tickets by calling right now. You can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-631-1754. 800-631-1754. 800-631-1754. That's 800-631-1754.
A brand built in Tennessee and born from the love of the game. Inward Half revolutionizes golfing comfort. Crafted by a former pro and dedicated enthusiast just like you, our luxury performance wear guarantees you stay cool and comfortable through every swing and every day. We're not just a brand. We've set out to create a lifestyle for those who understand that impeccable style and premium performance are a hole-in-one. Enjoy the walk-in with Inward Half.
Citizens National Bank.
Life is more fun with a Good Life checking account, offering extra benefits including bank travel. Join us for a trip to Mackinac Island for a stay at the beautiful Grand Hotel. Travel with us to southern Utah to witness the enormous, colorful, and unusual rock formations. Or join us on one of our many day trips. We're always on the go.
Citizens National Bank. Banking never felt so good.
Member FDIC.
All right, back here on Overtime, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you hanging out with us on this Tyler Tuesday from K-Town, whether you're listening on the free Fan Run Radio app, 105.7 FM or 1340 right here on the local dial, or on the X/YouTube live stream. However you're listening or watching, we do appreciate your time. We'll swing it over to our best bets of the night, presented by VIP Play. Go claim your VIP Play welcome bonus. When you make your first bet of $5 or more, you'll get $100 instantly in bonus bets by using the code FANRUN. That's FANRUN in all caps to claim those bonus bets, and it's the exclusive home of all 12 regular season games on a gambling service, the only place in Tennessee where you can do that. Make sure you use that code FANRUN. Helps us out, helps you out. Get $100 at bonus bets. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 years or older and located in Tennessee to bet. We'll swing it over to Tyler with Tyler's ticket. Tyler, what you got tonight?
Got one play today. Stuck in traffic. Usually get here sooner. Usually look deeper into the slate. However, there's one player that I have been fading consistently over the past couple weeks or so. That's Jose Barrios, starting pitcher for the Toronto Blue Jays. Last week, I had him to go under 17.5 outs recorded against the Colorado Rockies on the road. He went under that mark, only recorded 16 outs. Went 5 1/3, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, gave up a homer, 5 strikeouts, and a walk. Barrios is facing the Chicago Cubs today. Really, really good team in the Cubs. Kyle Tucker, one of the best players in baseball. Pete Crow Armstrong, a player who's having a breakout year. He has slowed down, though, recently, but they still have guys like Seiya Suzuki, Willie Castro, Ian Happ. This is a really, really good Chicago Cubs ball club. Jose Barrios has struggled severely over his last, I want to say, 7 starts. He's only gone 6 or more innings in 2 of those 7 starts. Last month, in the month of July, he had a 3.83 ERA in 6 games started. In the month of August, that one start being the start that we faded him on with the outs total. Right there, gave up had a 5 ERA in that game. So he hasn't been pitching his best baseball over his past 7. Right now, I'm looking at this really, really good and stout Chicago Cubs team to attack Barrios early. This game is in Toronto, however, but you know, Barrios' splits on the road versus at home. He's worse at home. He has a 4.34 ERA in 11 games started, whereas away he has a 3.48 ERA in 13 games started. So this is a guy that pitches better on the road. This game being at home against a really, really good Chicago Cubs team, I like the opportunity here to fade Barrios once again. Not to mention that Kyle Tucker, Ian Happ, Nico Horner, Seiya Suzuki, they have had a lot of success against Jose Barrios in his major league career. Kyle Tucker, 5 for 15 with a homer and 2 RBIs. Seiya Suzuki's 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Ian Happ, 3 for 9. Nico Horner, 3 for 6 with a home run and 2 RBIs. This Cubs meat of their lineup seems to attack Barrios early and often in games. On top of that, the Chicago Cubs, they're only 2-3 in their last 5. They're coming off a series loss against the St. Louis Cardinals. They're looking to bounce back here against an AL team in the Toronto Blue Jays that is coming off a series loss against the Dodgers. So I'm really liking Jose Barrios here to get pulled out the game before he picks up 18 outs. And we're hoping to go 1-0 after my bet yesterday did not hit.
All right, those are our best bets of the night presented by VIP Play. When we come back on the other side, we'll take a look at the toughest schedules in college football. The AP Top 25 released yesterday, and we did our breakdown there. But there are a couple of teams that have 7 different teams on their schedule that were ranked inside the AP Top 25. We'll talk about which team is most equipped to have success and also take a look at a couple of the other teams that have 5, 6 ranked teams on their schedule as well. Who's under the most pressure? Who's going to be able to go through those type of seasons with success? We'll break it down on the other side. Stay right here. It's Overtime, presented by VIP Play on Fan Run Radio.
Follow us on Twitter or X or whatever the they're calling it these days at Fox Sports Knox. Fox Sports Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Every 40 seconds, a child goes missing somewhere in the U.S. You can help in the effort to find missing kids simply by donating your car or boat to Find the Children, a nonprofit organization dedicated to returning missing children to their families. Find the Children works closely with national and community agencies and organizations and helps distribute flyers and posters that are directly responsible for recovering missing kids. Your car or boat donation helps protect and recover children in every state and community by sponsoring child safety and recovery programs. For fast, free pickup, call anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Running or not, your car, truck, van, RV, or boat will be towed away free of charge. Fast, free pickup, plus it's tax deductible. Everyone wins when you donate your car or boat to Find the Children.
Call right now. 800-466-8813. 800-466-8813. That's 800-466-8813.
Located in Knoxville's historic Old City, Barley's offers great food, live music, the best draft beer selection in town, and now your new favorite place to watch sports. Their indoor projector is perfect for any weather, and they've revamped their upstairs area with more TVs to take in all of the action. Their menu features hand-battered chicken tenders, juicy burgers, fresh salads, and the tastiest pizza in Knoxville. You can enjoy their happy hour drink specials daily from open until 6 p.m. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria. Blackford Veterinary Surgery Referral specializes in surgeries not regularly performed by your pet's general veterinarian. They're currently accepting referrals from vets all across the country. With their newly renovated state-of-the-art surgery center and highly trained staff, clients can rely on professional and thorough care. If your vet says that your pet needs surgery or rehab, ask for a referral to Blackford Vet and let them get your best friend back on its feet. Located conveniently in West Knoxville. For more information, visit blackfordvetsurgery.com.
Got a problem tree looming over your home? Call ECR Total Landscapes. Whether it's trimming, removal, or storm cleanup, our certified pros get the job done safely and efficiently. We're licensed, insured, and ready 24/7 for emergency calls. Big or small, we cut them all. ECR Total Landscapes. Call now for a free estimate, 865-384-2012, and mention promo code FANRUN for free stump grinding on any tree removal now through the end of the year. Also, visit us at ecrtotallandscapes.com.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
You're listening to FM 105.7 and AM 1340, WKGN Knoxville, and W289CU Knoxville, Fan Run Radio.
Oh, sorry. These hot dogs are so good. If you want all the hot dogs your stomach can hold, you're in luck. Tonight is free hot dog night with your Knoxville Smokies. All the hot dogs you can eat all night long. We'll see you tonight, and come hungry.
White Claw is taking hard seltzer to new heights with White Claw Surge. At 8% alcohol, White Claw Surge is a stronger wave of refreshment that doesn't compromise on taste. Available in 4 bold waves of flavor like ripe blackberry, citrusy blood orange, zesty natural lime, and tart cranberry. Check out your favorite retailer in-store and online for the White Claw Surge Variety 12-pack and 16-ounce single-serve cans. White Claw Surge. Please drink responsibly.
Your tax refund belongs to you, not an identity thief. Over $6 billion in tax refunds were flagged by the IRS for possible identity theft last year. If you're in a bind this tax season, LifeLock can help. They monitor and alert you to identity threats you'd miss on your own, even if you're careful with your personal information. And if you do become a victim of tax-related identity fraud, LifeLock has U.S.-based restoration specialists ready to help solve your identity theft issue. Plus, all LifeLock plans are backed by the $1 Million Protection Package, meaning LifeLock will reimburse you up to the limits of your plan if you lose money due to identity theft. Let LifeLock help protect your financial info, so all you have to worry about is what you do with your tax refund. Go to LifeLock.com, save up to 25% off your first year. The promo code is HERD, promo code HERD, to save up to 25% off your first year. LifeLock.com. Identity theft protection starts here.
Presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me.
Here we go. Hour number 2 on a Tuesday. We appreciate you hanging out with us right here on Overtime, presented by VIP Play. We apologize for the technical difficulties there a second ago. But we'll press on, push on for hour number 2. We got plenty to cover over this next hour, including taking a look at Cam Hayward. I touted Old Man Yells, as Cam Hayward is threatening not to play regular season games this upcoming season. Is that a smart move for him, and should the Steelers cave? We'll also take a look at Myles Garrett, who has a need for speed. Picked up his 7th speeding ticket, and this one we get into the triple digits, and you'll be surprised to the type of hand slap that he got from law enforcement. But we'll begin this hour with the AP Top 25 teams that were released yesterday. We'll look at the top of the comp. As college football embarks on its mega conference era following a historic round of realignment, the quality of schedule teams play every season will be one of the utmost importance things this year, of who you play against, who you go up against, what your strength of schedule looks like, what you were able to put on display in terms of the eye test. The conference realignment has done a lot of good for bringing us a lot of really compelling games, but it also has made some schedules really, really difficult for some of these teams. So sometimes you can catch a break with some of these teams that you play, while others, the deck is stacked against you. And there are a couple of teams on this list heading into this season. Looking at the AP Top 25 preseason rankings, there is a total of 4 teams that will play up to 7 ranked opponents in the fall. And as you might expect, every single one of them is in the SEC. It just means more, and it means you've got to go up against more competitive teams and some of the top ones in the country. Fewer down the list, 16 college football teams will have to play at least 5 opponents, and there are currently ranked in that preseason poll, and 13 of them are also from the SEC. Now, on the flip side, you might be saying, William, well, all these really tough schedules, what does the other side look like? Well, Cal, Wake Forest, and Cincinnati each play just 1 ranked opponent in the AP Top 25. And while they may rack up a few wins, that does mean their margin of error in order to march to the college football playoff will be much, much more significant. LSU, Mississippi State, Florida, and Oklahoma play a total of 7 AP Top 25 teams on their schedule this year. And we'll talk about who is the most equipped to succeed. Well, let's go ahead and quickly rule out Mississippi State, which I don't think they'll be very good this year. Their win total set at 3.5. Going to be an uphill battle for them. I do like Blake Shapen, the former Baylor quarterback, that will be gunning that group. And then you've got LSU, Florida, and Oklahoma. I think if we're going down the list, I think Oklahoma will be second to scratch off, as they struggled last year in the SEC. I do like John Mateer. I do like Jaden Ott. I do like Deion Burks. I like Eli Bowen at cornerback, one of the strongest in the country. Or Mason Thomas on the edge will be really good. But Brent Venables, at least so far throughout his time at Oklahoma, has proven to me that you can't really trust him. And you might be saying, well, William, can you really trust Billy Napier? Well, I think Florida all around is much more talented. where DJ Lagway is going to be a top 5 quarterback in the country when the season's over. You've got Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson, a really good backfield. Eugene Wilson, Dallas Wilson, J. Michael Sturdivant, a very talented wide receiver room. And defensively, you've got an influx of talent there as well. Tyreek Sapp, the son of Warren Sapp, looks absolutely shredded. Benched 445 pounds this offseason. He's coming off the edge. You've got, your leading tackler and Jordan Castle coming back. There's a lot of really good players on that Florida team, and their schedule is daunting as ever, but I think they're equipped to do just fine. LSU has got the most talented roster we've seen with, Les Miles. Brian Kelly. Garrett Nussmeier, I believe, is the second best quarterback in the country, right behind Cade Klubnik of Clemson. You bolster up your wide receiver room alongside Aaron Anderson, who was the leading receiver last year for the Tigers. You add in a Nick Anderson and add in a Barian Brown. That's some speed right there, some experience. Defensively, I think the secondary is going to be an issue, or at least a question mark right now as they fill up through the portal once again. But guys like Harold Perkins coming back, Whit Weeks at linebacker, a really, really fun player to watch there. Jack Pyburn transfers over from Florida, is going to be a big part of that defense as well. And this is a talented Tigers team. Who's more equipped, however? I go back and forth. I really want to say Florida. I just think their schedule's a little bit tougher. So I'll go with LSU, who has the more experienced quarterback, and Garrett Nussmeier, a guy that's going to be a top 10 pick, I believe, in next year's draft. This is a big year for I about did it again. Going to be a big year for Brian Kelly, who's got a lot of question marks around him, and Billy Napier does too. But I think there's a little bit more experience here with LSU that I'm willing to back, and they don't play as tough of a schedule. Now, I've already guaranteed you that Clemson will beat LSU in week 1. That's a guarantee. Clemson will beat LSU in week 1. But outside of that, I think LSU could find ways to win. You host a Florida at home. I think that's really big in week 3. And your road games aren't that difficult. Ole Miss, I think, is getting a little bit more preseason love than they deserve. I think Austin Simmons is strong, but we're basing a lot of what we think about him off of one drive against Georgia last year, which I think is not fair. South Carolina is going to be a tough game. Alabama is going to be a tough game. They've got some difficult ones on their schedule, but I think LSU experience-wise is a notch better, and I think they have a little bit of an easier schedule as Florida has the toughest in the country. So right now, I would say the Bayou Bengals are the most equipped to have success out of the 4 teams that have the most AP top 25 teams on their schedule. Tyler, what's your answer?
Yeah, I'll probably go with South Carolina. I've kind of been really high on South Carolina throughout this whole process.
Well, they're not on this list.
Oh, excuse me.
Out of these top 4.
Sorry, not South Carolina. I heard you say South Carolina, but we're between LSU. I like LSU, but I think Clemson week 1 is going to be really tough. And I think that's going to set the tone for them, essentially. If you go in and you win that game, then I think this is going to be a top 5 team in college football throughout the season, but I just don't see that with LSU. However, yesterday when we were talking about this list, I was like, I think LSU is better than an Alabama. I think South Carolina is better than a Miami. There are a lot of teams in this top 10 that I don't think would normally be in a top 10. And I think LSU is one of those teams that deserves to be pushed up a little bit. But I think with how that Clemson game goes, that's going to dictate how their season kind of unfolds. You pick up a win there. It's kind of like if Tennessee were to beat Georgia week 3, you kind of have a mulligan for the rest of your season, and it's against one of the best teams in college football. So all you really have to do from there is go 9-2 when you're a playoff team with the win over Clemson. So I probably would agree with LSU. However, for the sake of being different, I'd probably go with Florida. I really like their recruiting class this year. What's that one wide receiver that they got? That's an absolute beast. Florida. He was
Eugene Wilson.
No, he's new. He's a freshman.
Dallas Wilson.
Dallas Wilson. Is he the one that's 6'4",
yeah.
absolute beast? Yeah, I've seen his film. He looks like a Jeremiah Smith type, like, impact player.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I look at this Florida offense, and I've always been surprised that their over-under on this season was, 7.5, I think is what it was, on VIP play. It's like, you look at their roster on paper, and every one of their defensive starters is coming back. Every single one. Then you replace...
Who, for Florida?
Yeah.
Not every single one. Cam Jackson's gone. They lost a couple of guys, but they've got a lot of returning players from last year.
That's what it is. Returning players that are now starting for them. Excuse me. I'm looking on ourlads.com. They do a good job of like making it known and visible what players are transfers, what players are freshmen. And I'm just looking at their like first team on defense, and it's all just guys that were on the team last year. So not all their starters from last year, but all returning players. That's going to help you in SEC play. And that's what I was talking about with Nebraska yesterday. I think in the Big Ten and in the SEC, you need players that have played there before. And I think Florida, they have all the experience in the world that they need to succeed. Now, I look at their schedule, and you should start off with 2-0, right? But at LSU, that's a really tough game to win. But if LSU were to beat Clemson week 1, which I don't think they will, but if they were to, it's like that can kind of be your one mulligan loss in a way for LSU. And I think Florida picking up that win, then going to Miami the following week, like, you're going to have to win at least one of those games against LSU or Miami. And then after that, you have Texas A&M. However, and I'll wrap it up, but I do think that Florida is more suited because of their experience that's coming back, really like Lagway, like the receiving core. I think that you're going to see Florida beat all the teams that you expect them to, but they're going to compete in every single game against an LSU, against a Miami, against a Texas, against an A&M, against a Georgia, against an Ole Miss. Like these top 25 teams that we see, and they have, 7 of them on their schedule?
Yes.
You're going to see them competing in every single one of those games.
You believe Florida goes on the road and beats LSU?
No, I never said I believe that, but certainly a possibility. I mean,
well, yeah, one team's going to win, one team's going to lose.
Exactly.
Tyler.
But I think that Florida has, out of the games that they play against Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, A&M, and LSU, I think LSU is more on the, all right, we have a better chance to win this game side because it's early in the season. I think early in the season games benefit the underdog team more a little bit because they have everything to lose. They need to win that game. Whereas if LSU were to lose this game, sure, you could be 1-2 if you were to lose this game, and you'd have to win out the rest of your season. But it's like with Georgia coming into town week 3 against Tennessee, it's like Georgia knows they're probably going to be in the college football playoff regardless. Tennessee needs to pick up an early win to, solidify them as a top 25 team for the remainder of the year. I think if Florida comes in 2-0 against an LSU team that's 1-1, they can be like, all right, we win this game, we're 3-0. We beat Miami. I think they do beat Miami week 4. I don't like Miami at all. I mean, I don't think anyone in this room, now that we don't have Max here, I don't think me and you like Miami. We're both not very high on them. This is a Florida team that can start off 4-0, and then, sure, you lose against Texas at home. You lose against Georgia on the road. But it's like, this is a team that if things go right, they could be 9-3, and they lose 3 in conference games.
Well, to clarify, I'm not necessarily low on Miami. I just don't believe they're top 10. I had Miami at 12.
Okay.
So I still think they are a top.
You're lower than the public expectation.
I'm lower than what the AP poll had. But I mean, saying that Florida could possibly go beat LSU and Miami and then figure they're going to be good for the rest of the season, I think it's a little inaccurate. I mean, they got to play Texas, Texas A&M, Georgia, Ole Miss, Florida, and Tennessee to end the year. Those are 5 games.
No, that's not how I phrased it. I phrased it with I never said if they go in and they beat LSU, when they beat LSU. I never said that. I said for LSU, it's like you got to go in. You're hungry to win that game because you're probably going to lose to Clemson week 1.
Yeah, they won't have a choice. They're going to have to win those home games.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But with Florida, it's like you can start off the season 4-0 with 2 top 20 wins under your belt. After that, it's like you just got to play near 500 ball. like a little bit above 500 ball to, go over on your win total for the year and have a really, really good year. Not saying they will, but it's like if you start off 4-0, somehow, even if you start off 3-1, you lose to LSU, but you bounce back and you beat Miami on the road, you're 3-1 going into Texas at home. It's like you're in a really good spot if you're Florida.
They're in a good spot, but they got
3-1.
a lot of good teams left to go after that.
As do all SEC football teams.
Kentucky, Wisconsin, Arkansas, and South Carolina all play 6 AP top 25 teams. They're not quite on that level of 7, but they play 6 AP top 25 teams. Will South Carolina be able to survive a tough schedule? I had originally thought about posing a question: which hot seat coach is, more susceptible to having a bad year, Kentucky or Arkansas? Maybe even Wisconsin you could throw in that group, even though they gave Luke Fickell, for some reason, an extension. But I decided let's talk about good teams, and let's talk about South Carolina. Last year, South Carolina, at the end of the year, they tried to make the argument that they should have made the college football playoff because they beat Clemson. Yes, it was a really good win, but they got smashed at home by Ole Miss, and that was really the dead shot in their season.
Was Sellers playing that game? I think that was like the 3-week stretch that he was out.
Would have been, he got hurt against LSU, which was before that. So it was probably Robbie Ashford, who's now at Wake Forest. But regardless, 27-3 in your home building is a disaster. You can't allow that to happen. But I think South Carolina has the opportunity to survive the tough schedule, especially if they're able to get the production they were able to get last year at running back with a Rashul Faison and an Oscar Attaway III, who are the two main focal backs for the Gamecocks this year. Faison comes over from Utah State. Oscar Attaway III was there last year. But Rocket Sanders and Lenora Sellers last year, when they were in rhythm, South Carolina was really damn good. And when they played Clemson, it was Lenora Sellers' ability on the ground mixed in with what he can do in the air, maybe not as much downfield up against a really good secondary in the Tigers, but having that 1-2 in the backfield with a strong running back and a strong dual threat quarterback and Sellers really worked out. South Carolina will have success if they're able to get that type of production that they got from Rocket Sanders last year and their current quarterback, or the current running back room. And I think that's one big key. The second big thing is Lenora Sellers has got to be accurate down the field. I think this is the season where you could kind of start to see whether he'll be a Josh Allen or whether he'll be a Anthony Richardson. Anthony Richardson is uber talented, one of the best, most athletic, maybe not best quarterbacks, but one of the most athletic quarterbacks we've seen over the last couple of seasons in college football. He could zip it down the field, have some really big plays, but then there'll be some times where you're like, man, that's just not an accurate football. And you kind of saw a little bit that last year from Sellers, where he'd zip it down the field, it looked good, and then you see the screen, and it's like, where's the receiver? If Sellers is better down the field, I think South Carolina could have a ton of success. Those two things, establishing the run with their new running back room, Rashul Faison from Utah State, Oscar Attaway III, returner, next to Lenora Sellers, and also Sellers being better down the field. The wide receiver room, a little bit new. Nick Harbor is going to be a really good option for him. A speedster, a guy that can just win off of, breaking off the route correctly. That's a good target for Sellers to have down the field, but he's got to be accurate. And I think that's the only way they're going to be able to survive a tough schedule if they get both of those things. And that's going to depend or depict whether this is a 8-4 team or a college football playoff contender. And I don't think there's really much room for error between those two things I just listed off.
Yeah, I think South Carolina has done a great job, and Shane Beamer especially. He's one of my favorite head coaches in college football.
That's a bold statement.
I'm not saying he's one of the best. He's just one
I
of my
know,
favorite.
just one of your favorite.
Yeah.
That's still a bold statement, though. But I'll let you go. I mean, stand on.
I like player motivators as head coaches. I like Dan Campbell. It's what John Harbaugh was. It's why I like John Harbaugh. I mean, it's why I like Heupel. He's a player motivator. I like Shane Beamer. He's kind of rejuvenated that South Carolina Gamecock football program. And I think they have all the talent to go on one of those, 10-2 seasons. And we've seen how eager this fan base is to finally have a college playoff caliber team in Columbia. The fans are ready for it. They have the quarterback to get them there. They have a head coach that has only brought this team up rather than down, at least recently. The question is, do they have the surrounding and the supporting cast around Lenore Sellers to win you 10 games? I think they do. However, in a couple weeks, I could say they don't, right? Once I see how their, first couple weeks go, I could be like, wow, maybe I was overrating the South Carolina team. Maybe Lenore Sellers is kind of just like an Anthony Richardson and then like an athletic quarterback with a cannon of an arm, but the accuracy isn't there. However, I agree with your statement, William. If Lenore Sellers can be a more consistent down the field passer, that opens an element to South Carolina's game that they haven't really had in the past couple seasons. I mean, Spencer Rattler was okay down the field, but he wasn't good. He wasn't great. He was just okay, mediocre. Like, he was okay. Now you bring in Lenore Sellers with a guy, Nick Harbor, who can make up for some inaccurate throws. This is why we see, players that are very athletic. They can get outside the pocket. They're great runners, athletes, like a Lamar Jackson early in his career. It's like his accuracy wasn't the best. But as a Ravens fan, I was like, we got to get a wide receiver like a DeAndre Hopkins, like a Mike Evans, like a Devontae Adams, a guy that can just go up and get it. If it's in his radius, if it's in his area, go up and get it, because then that'll help Lamar Jackson's accuracy. You don't have to put it on the money then, right? Lenore Sellers doesn't have to put it right on the money when he's thrown to a 6'5" wide receiver who runs a 4.3 40. Just get it in an area to where Nick Harbor can go up and catch it. And if you see that chemistry really kind of start to form with Harbor, with Sellers, then you could see Lenore Sellers get to that next level, that level that Anthony Richardson tapped into in his final year in 2022 at Florida. He tapped into that level. He was very good down the field. Now, he still had accuracy issues, but he was a guy that was more than capable of making a 45-yard post route into a touchdown. And I saw it live when he came here to Knoxville. I made a couple great throws to Ricky Pearsall. But Sellers, he has a true wideout one in Nick Harbor. I don't know if Harbor is considered a tight end or a wideout. I think he's considered a wide receiver. But coming in, I think it was considered a tight end. But this is a guy that you can foster a relationship with, a connection with. That's your go-to guy. Now you have a transfer running back. You have a returning running back. You have a good offensive line. You have a really, really good defensive front. This is a team that can very well win you 10 games. And the schedule kind of shows that, especially early on into the year. You play Virginia Tech at home, you should win that game. If you lose that game, God, the headlines are going to be awful. South Carolina once again fails their fans. South Carolina can't do it. Lenore Sellers chokes in the first game of the season. Like, that would be rough. You should win that game, though. Then you play South Carolina State, got to win that game. You play Vanderbilt at home, got to win that game. 3-0 to start off the year. You go to Missouri. If you're a good team, if you're a college football playoff caliber team, you win that game. No doubt. That game is going to show us if the South Carolina team has the makings of being a college football playoff level team. Even if they lose it, you bounce back the week after that, Kentucky at home. You should be 4-1 going into Death Valley.
Well, they're trying to make the college football playoff. They cannot lose to Missouri. Missouri's going to be a middling team in the SEC.
Right. I agree. But, I mean, Missouri is a tough place to play.
Is it?
Is
it? Missouri's not a tough place to play.
When I went there, it was pretty loud.
Out of all the teams in the SEC, Missouri's not a tough place to play.
Out of the SEC, yeah.
Which is the schedule South Carolina is going to play.
Okay, sure. But, like, it's still a team that in Missouri that has been good recently. However, like I said, I do expect South Carolina to win this game. They should be 5-0 going into Death Valley, going into Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. Now, if you beat LSU, that's kind of like in 2022, when Tennessee went in and they beat LSU. That'd be the arrival.
Yeah, that's like that game made me think, wow, this team could be a top 4 team at the end of the year. That game is going to dictate whether or not they can get to that level. Now, I know it's early into the season. It's what, week 6 or week 7, actually, I think, because they got a bye the week before. So they're coming off a bye going into
Baton Rouge.
Baton.
Yeah, Baton Rouge.
Like, yeah, I'm batting 4th in the order.
Baton Rouge.
All right, Baton Rouge. You win that game, you're 6-0. You host Oklahoma, and you host Alabama the following weeks. Even if you lose to LSU, you're still 5-1 with 2 great opportunities to pick up back-to-back top 25 AP poll wins. Just like that, you're 8-1, and now all you got to do is win 3 out of your last 4, and you're a 10-2 team, and you're in the college football playoff.
Yeah.
So I do think out of the teams that we talked about, like LSU, I mean, it's really LSU, Florida, and South Carolina that I'm putting kind of in this category because they're the teams that could be college football playoff teams. I think South Carolina has the easiest and best chance to do so because they don't have to play at Georgia and because you're playing Oklahoma and Alabama at home. Yeah, you're playing A&M on the road, but you get Clemson at home now. You beat Clemson, and even if you have 8 wins at that point, but you have wins over Clemson and maybe Alabama at home, but you lose to A&M on the road, Ole Miss on the road, and an LSU, you're 9-3 with wins over Clemson and Bama and Oklahoma. The committee could possibly favor you and put you in a playoff spot.
If you're 10-2 in the SEC, you'll probably be a college football
1,000%.
playoff team.
If you're 9-3, I think there is a small chance, depending on your wins.
I don't think 9-3 would cut it, but
if you beat Clemson and Alabama, and you kind of
maybe
you're playing in a close game against A&M, against Ole Miss,
yeah,
and you
but
lose
if you're losing a couple of
less.
these other games, though, it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to be able to beat some of the top teams in the country as well.
Well, my point is, if you beat Clemson and Alabama, you prove that you can.
Yeah,
that's my thing.
3 ranked teams on schedules for some notable teams, some favorable schedules here. Notre Dame, Clemson, Miami, Penn State, Baylor, Utah, Indiana, Louisville, all only have 3 teams that are ranked in the top 8 or top 25 of the AP poll. I'd say outside of the top teams like Penn State, Clemson, Miami, Notre Dame, we know those teams are going to be good. I'd look at Baylor and Louisville as 2 teams that could possibly use a beneficial schedule and march to the college football playoff. Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, a really strong quarterback. I think they could be one of the top teams in the Big 12. Could be in Dallas for that Big 12 championship game. They'll use that favorable schedule, possibly propel them there. And then Louisville, a team that Max was really fond on. Miller Moss, not my favorite quarterback, the transfer from USC. But you've got to trust Jeff Brom and what he's done over the last couple of years in putting Louisville in situations to have success. So those are 2 teams that I'd look at that could use their use their favorable schedules to possibly make it to the college football playoff or beyond, have some postseason potential. When we come back, we'll switch over to the NFL. Cam Hayward, Old Man Yells, Myles Garrett, the next character in Fast and Furious. We'll break it down when we return right here on Fan Run Radio.
For the fans, by the fans, this is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Running a business, coaching a team, planning your next big event, you need more than just gear. You need SM Athletics and Logo Solutions. Custom uniforms, branded apparel, promotional products, done right, done fast, and built to show off your brand with pride. From local businesses to high schools to major universities, SM Athletics is trusted by winners. Get real service, get real quality, get noticed. SM Athletics and Logo Solutions, where your brand comes to life.
Visit smathletics.com and let's build something great together.
Believe in family. Believe in your fellow man. Believe in honesty and an honest day's work. We do. We're Farm Bureau Insurance. And we don't just believe in Tennessee. We believe in Tennesseans. Farm Bureau Insurance. Tennessee's insurance company.
This is Baseball VFL Cody Brown. Farm Bureau Insurance is the official insurance for Tennesseans. Believe in me for all of your insurance needs. Give me a call at 865-992-3871.
Attention service members and veterans. Introducing the Griffin Law Firm, your trusted ally in military legal matters. From court martials to benefit claims, at Griffin Law, Your mission is their mission. Here's VFL Marshall Griffin.
As a veteran and retired military attorney, I've successfully defended lifelong benefits and helped preserve professional futures. So I know that when you hire a military justice lawyer, you maximize your chance to get relief. With my unique experience, I can advocate for you because there's no military matter that's too big or too small. Let us help you make these critical decisions that could affect the rest of your life. Remain silent. Request counsel. Call Griffin Law.
For a free consultation, call 888-707-4282. That's 888-707-4282. Or just visit griffinlawdefense.com.
Knoxville, mark your calendars. Fan Run Night at the ballpark is back. Join us Wednesday, August 6th at Covenant Health Park as the Knoxville Smokies take on Biloxi and we take over the stands. It's all you can eat night, so make sure to bring your appetite. Plus, we're hooking up the fans with exclusive Fan Run swag giveaways you won't want to miss. Come hang with the Fan Run crew, rep your team, and enjoy a summer night of baseball, food, and fun. Fan Run Night, August 6th. Be there.
Ready to launch your career? Axle Logistics is a leading third-party logistics company where excellence is an energy. With an award-winning culture, Axle proves that positive outcomes come from a positive environment and a work hard, play hard mentality. At Axle, the drive for success is infectious. And with an uncapped commission structure, hard work isn't just noticed, it's rewarded. For those with big goals and even bigger dreams, Axle Logistics is the place to start your career.
Presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me. I'm out for presidents to represent me.
All right, back here on Overtime, presented by VIP Play. We appreciate you hanging out with us, whether it be on the free Fan Run Radio app, 105.7 FM or 1340 AM on the local dial here in K-Town, or on the X/YouTube/Facebook live stream. However you're listening or watching, we do appreciate your time. All right, we'll head over to the NFL. A couple of stories to cover today, including need for speed. Cleveland Browns star defensive end Myles Garrett was cited by Strongsville Police, that's in Ohio, for driving 100 miles per hour early Saturday morning. According to the citation, Garrett was driving his gray 2014 Ferrari 100 miles per hour in a 60 mile per hour zone southbound on Interstate 71 after returning to Cleveland following the team's preseason opener at the Carolina Panthers. Strongsville is a suburb just south of the Browns team facility, so maybe he was headed back there. I don't know what he was up to, but the craziest part of this all, he's going 40 over, and all he got was a ticket for $250. Now, he's got to appear in court to pay this, but the Browns confirmed they're well aware of this incident, did not want to comment any further, and Garrett, who's 29, has been reportedly cited for speeding 8 times since arriving in Cleveland in 2017 as the #1 pick in the draft. And this is a little bit of a microcosm of many of the issues that the Cleveland Browns have. A lack of leadership, a lack of seriousness, a lack of respect. 40 miles over in a 60, going 100 miles an hour. You're the main player on this team, the best player on this team, one of the best players defensively in the NFL. And you're on a horrible team that needs leadership. You got a ton of young guys. And you're setting a bad example for the 8th time since you've arrived in Cleveland. What are we doing here? A team leader is one that sets an expectation. This is how we do things in the building. For the Tennessee folks out there, you might remember Nico Iamaleava decided to do his little thing. And Josh Heupel reiterated, no one's bigger than the power T. And there's been a lot of talk about leadership councils on this current roster. Guys stepping up, Miles Kitselman being one of them. He was very open about it when he was at SEC Media Days, talking about there was a lack of leadership on last year's team and that he's trying to set that example this year. Leadership is really big in having success. I continue to point to Ohio State last year. Ohio State was embarrassed at home against Michigan. Michigan was not that good of a team last year. Ohio State loses at home to a Michigan team that could barely get it across the 50-yard line for most games last year. And Ohio State, instead of pouting and, pointing fingers, saying, oh, we should fire our coach, or, oh, well, Tennessee's coming in, we're probably going to get drilled. They gathered up as a group, a very strong, tight-knit team with senior leadership, leaders in the locker room, turned around and had the most successful postseason run we've probably ever seen, at least in college football. Dominant. That's leadership. The Browns, a team that have not seriously made the playoffs in years. Like, yeah, they had Joe Flacco playing quarterback for them 2 years ago. That wasn't a serious playoff team. They've continually been the example of what not to be in the NFL. And it's because you have crap like this going on, leaders in your locker room acting like they're 19 instead of 29 for the 8th time since he's arrived. You set an example when you're the best guy in the room. You set an example when you're one of the best guys in the NFL defensively, period. A lot of young guys on this team that look up to a Myles Garrett, that grew up watching him at Texas A&M, that have grown up watching him play for the Cleveland Browns. That's an example that you have to set. And if your example is going 40 miles per hour over, what are we doing here? It's a microcosm of what the Browns have been. Dysfunctional, an afterthought, not serious. Not serious is going 40 miles per hour over as a team leader. I think it's a bad look and says a lot about the Browns culture. Tyler, what do you make of it?
I don't understand why NFL players keep on doing this, or even like football players in general. I don't know if it's, oh, I have all this money, I'm going to go buy me a nice fancy car that, can go from 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. It's like, what's the point in it? You're harming yourself. You're also one of the best defensive players in football, one of the best defensive players of the decade. Is it really worth trying to cut down your 12-minute drive back from the airport to make it 10 minutes, but you're going 40 over and you could injure yourself? You could possibly injure someone else. And I don't even want to bring up the idea of killing someone. The risk is not worth the reward. And I put that in quotes because it doesn't seem like there is a reward. Don't know what the end game is. I mean, Myles Garrett also missed the game a couple seasons ago because he got in a car accident because he was speeding.
Correct.
He missed the game. It's like, what's the point in it? Do you ever learn? Like, I don't know if you had a girl in the car, you're trying to impress her. Don't know if you had a rookie with you and you were like, yo, Rook, watch this.
Is that how that went down?
Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to be a fly on the wall during that.
I don't know if you want to be. You might not even be able to stay on the wall.
I'd be funny like, wee!
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I think it's stupid. I think it's childish. You're a 30-year-old man with, I guess, everything to lose. Like, we have seen tragedies happen in the NFL year in, year out. In the MLB, tragedies happen. Drunk driving accidents. Like, these players are, they don't just have a job. Like, your job is to, sack the quarterback. But they're role models for their community. Like, you're telling me that there are 100,000 5-year-olds living in the state of Ohio who are right now writing down in their kindergarten graduation yearbook under the topic, what's your wish, or what do you want to do when you're older? I want to meet Myles Garrett.
What are we doing? Oh, gosh.
There's so many kids that look up to you, and this is a terrible example. And then on top of that, you just signed a new contract. Are you taking it seriously? Are you just here to make money? Do you want to win? He said he wanted to win, but then he goes around and signs however $100+ million contract.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently he doesn't want to win because he's staying in Cleveland. So what are you doing? You sign that contract so you can go get faster cars and drive 50 miles per hour over the speed limit now instead of 40. I think it's stupid. I think that just driving this recklessly is it's dumb for the person doing it, but it's even scarier for the people that can't control Myles Garrett. And that's where the risk comes in. Henry Ruggs ruined his career, ruined his life because of an accident like this. Myles Garrett is going to get or has a $250 ticket, doesn't even have to go to court. But it's like, dude, all it takes is you not to see someone because you're scrolling on your phone. And just like that, your career is over. And so is someone else's life. Yeah. Sorry to be sad here, but I can't wrap my head around it, regardless of who you are.
Yeah.
High status, low status. It never makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So enough of my rant, but bad example, really bad example.
We'll switch over to the Pittsburgh Steelers as Steelers defensive co-captain Cameron Hayward, who has been quietly holding in during training camp, broke his silence about unresolved contract disputes on Monday after sitting out entirely for the second consecutive practice. Hayward said he hasn't ruled out skipping games this year. Quote, there are definitely options out there that could reflect that, the 36-year-old Hayward said. And to put the situation in full context, you have to start with last offseason. Hayward had 1 year left on his contract, a time when the Steelers typically like to renegotiate deals. In 2023, he made $15.85 million in cash, but he counted $22.3 million against the cap, according to over the cap records. And the team approached the veteran lineman and asked him to take a pay cut. They renegotiated. He signed a 3-year, $45 million contract that runs through the end of the 2026 season. But he said that if he were an all-pro player like he was last year as a 35-year-old, which is impressive, he said that he was going to try and renegotiate it. And now here we are. Should the Steelers react to this? And Hayward saying, I'm not going to play. I'm going to skip regular season games if you don't pay me. I think this is another bad example of leadership on a team. Now, the Steelers aren't as young as the Browns and have a little bit more of a functional program as opposed to what Cleveland does on a year in, year out basis. But Cam Hayward's 36. You got to read the room. I get he wants to get paid, but you locked into this contract. You're making $15 million a year. At this age, your shelf life isn't much longer. So I get what he's trying to say here. And he wants to get paid because he probably realizes in his head that he's not going to be around for much longer. But if you're the Steelers, how the hell could you pay this guy anything more? How could you extend him past 2026? You've got him locked in for 2 more seasons. And this is what the thing I hate about NBA contracts, NFL contracts, any player that tries to hold out and say, I'm not going to listen. I'm not going to do my job. If you show up to your job, wherever you may work, and you want a new contract or want to, extend your shelf life at that current place, you can't walk in there and say, I'm not going to work this week. That's not how it works. The NFL, NBA, all these other leagues are the only places I've ever heard where people just can show up and say, I'm not doing my job. I'm not doing what I'm currently on salary to do. Cam Hayward's 36. I get he wants to get paid. I get he's trying to, gauge as much money as he can while he's still playing particularly well, coming off an all-pro year. But if you're the Steelers, you can't pay this guy. And you got to sit him down and say, hey, man, you've been here way too long to do all this. You're a grown-ass man. You're 36. We renegotiated a deal. We can't, as an organization, invest more money into a 36-year-old guy in 2 years. That's going to be 38. It doesn't make any sense. So I titled this Old Man Yells because this is what it is. It's nonsensical. Why are we doing this? Abide by your contract that says you are locked in for the next 2 years. We're not, trade him, send him off to Cleveland and then see how fun it is. Send him off somewhere else if he doesn't want to play for this team, wants some negotiation, a contract extension. The Saints will probably pay him because they love paying old players that are out of their prime, big-time money. Abide by your contract. This is deeper than just Cam Hayward. This is extending to the NBA and across the NFL. You're there to play. You're there under contract. What other job out there are you under contract and you can show up and say, I'm not doing my job today? I'm a banker, right? I'm not doing it today. I'm not doing it this week till we renegotiate. That's not how it works. They'll say, get your ass out of town.
Wonder if that'll work here.
Work here? If I say I'm not going to work?
Yeah.
Well, they'll quit paying me.
Go up to Ryan. Hey, man, I'm worth more than what you're offering me.
Well, they'll probably just say, get the hell on.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's probably what the Steelers will do if he decides not to play. Say, all right, that's fine. Just sit on the bench. You're not getting anything. Or we'll, ship you off to Carolina, ship you off to New Orleans. That doesn't sound as fun to me. All right, when we come back, we'll wrap things up. It's a Tuesday edition of OT. We appreciate you hanging out with us. Stay right here. It's Fan Run Radio.
Congratulations. You found sports radio that doesn't suck. This is Fan Run Radio, Knoxville.
Barley's has live music on weekends, general team trivia on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., and now live sports trivia courtesy of the Knoxville Trivia Guys every Thursday night upstairs. The game starts at 7 p.m. and is free to play for everyone, so head on down to the Old City and show off your sports knowledge and win gift cards to Barley's. Use those gift cards to buy some delicious food and drinks, and you can take it all in with their wide selection of TVs and indoor projectors. Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria.
Hey Knoxville! Surfside iced tea and vodka, made with real brewed tea, is only 100 calories, 2 grams of sugar, with no bubbles and no troubles. That's right, zero carbonation, so it's easy to sip and enjoy. Headed to a game day or party at a friend's house? Bring an iced tea or lemonade variety pack from Surfside, or try their green tea and new raspberry tea vodka. Find the can with the sunset stripes this season. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sold at bars, restaurants, and stores near you. Surfside iced tea and vodka, sunshine in a can. Must be 21 or older. Enjoy responsibly.
Yee-haw! I've been hooting and hollering ever since I started betting with the VIP Play app. VIP Play has more than 200 leagues, every bet type you can imagine, live betting and live hosts, all with 24/7 support from real live people when you need them. Start betting better with the VIP Play app today.
Don't be a better, be a better with VIP Play today.
Download VIP Play today or head to VIPPlayApp.com. Make sure you use the promo code FANRUN to take advantage of their welcome bonus and so they know that we sent you. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-8899-789. Must be 21 or older and located in Tennessee to bet.
Are you tired of hiding your smile because of crooked teeth? At Knoxville Smiles, we've got the perfect solution. Invisalign. No metal, no wires. Just clear, comfortable aligners that straighten your teeth without anyone noticing. Eat what you want, smile with confidence, and see results in as little as 6 months. Call us today for more information about Invisalign, 865-539-1776. Or just visit us online at knoxvillesmiles.com. Smile brighter with Knoxville Smiles.
Hello, is Tina there?
Who's this?
Yeah, this is Vince from the hit reality show Wives Don't Tell. Tina applied for our show to confess that her husband won't go to the doctor to get his erectile dysfunction checked. She said she's ready for a guy that can bring the heat.
All right, what the hell is going on? You know you're talking to her husband right now? Tina!
Well, she wrote the application that her man's performance is questionable. She's basically married to a coffee table. She also said, we live within driving distance to Men's Pro Knoxville, but he's too scared to get a blood test.
Oh my, she is done. She is so done.
Gotcha, Mike. It's Nephew Tommy. Ain't no reality show. It's a prank. Men's Pro Knoxville is the real deal, fellas. Local experts, test results in minutes. Call 865-544-8220 or hit menspronknoxville.com before your lady books a new co-star. Men's Pro Knoxville, making it happen.
All right, final thoughts on this Tuesday from K-Town. We appreciate you listening along with us, whether it be on the free Fan Run Radio app, 105.7 FM, 1340 AM, on the local dial, the X/YouTube live stream, however it may be. Appreciate your time. All right, wrapping things up today. Kind of a slow news day once again. You know, college football, week 0 coming up next weekend. Not this weekend, but the next. We got a big game. Iowa State, Kansas State. Really looking forward to that one. That one's in Dublin. But with the AP Top 25 coming out yesterday, we now have the confirmation that week 1 arguably will be the greatest week 1 we've ever seen in college football history. 3 top 10 matchups. Clemson and LSU. And then you've got Notre Dame and Miami, bringing back an old rivalry. That will be a lot of fun. And then you've got what's the final one? Gosh, I just had it on the top of my head. Week 1 matchups. I might have to look this up. My golly. College football matchups. I just had it in my head. This is why this is final thoughts, folks.
Is it Fresno State at Kansas?
No, that's week 0.
Oh.
That's week 0. That isn't, I mean, I guess for that weekend it might be interesting. Where is this?
Is it Northern Illinois at Maryland?
Tyler, come on. I'm trying to figure this out.
Baylor at SMU?
Notre Dame, Miami. LSU, Clemson. Where's the other one? I guess they're including. Oh, Texas, Ohio State. That's what it is. Gosh. Sorry. Texas, Ohio State. We just burned a whole minute trying to figure that out. Texas, Ohio State, Clemson, LSU, Notre Dame, Miami. And this is getting back on track. I'm sorry for the delay. This is why I'm okay sometimes with conference realignment and the college football playoff going to 12 teams. All of this is about the TV ratings. All this is about the money that the TV deals will generate. And that's why these conferences are more ambitious to move to the Big Ten or move to the SEC. They want the bigger deals. But the way you get that is by having more compelling games. And when you have 3 top 10 matchups in week 1, that is going to put butts in seats. That's going to draw a lot of attention. Texas, Ohio State will do big-time numbers. I hate that it's at 12 o'clock. LSU, Clemson at 8 o'clock is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Notre Dame, Miami, a former classic game that is going to do numbers. If you bring the right matchups, you will bring the right people. Last year was the most compelling college football season we've ever seen because you had big-time matchup after big-time matchup with 12 teams in the college football playoff. There was a lot more hope for a lot more teams. Instead of having about 8 teams in the final 2 weeks of the season thinking they had a legitimate shot last year, you had up to 18, 20 teams believing they could legitimately make it. South Carolina, a team that was 9-3, got blown out by Ole Miss at home. Somehow believed, and that fan base believed they could make the college football playoff because you expanded it to 12 teams, because you give them the opportunity to play big-time games against big-time opponents. Now, Clemson and South Carolina have always played that rivalry game. But when you give these big-time matchups early in the season, like a Notre Dame, Texas A&M last year, like a USC, LSU, you're going to have these games carry a lot of weight as the season goes on, and the hope will be there for a lot more of these teams as the year continues. So 3 top 10 matchups. To the people that say, I don't like conference expansion, I don't like the 12-team playoff, the reason why we get these type of matchups in week 1 is because of that. I'm all for history. I'm all for pageantry. I would love the SEC to stay the way it was. I would love the Big Ten to stay the way it was. I'd love to have the Pac-12 still be a thing. But money is what rules our world. That's why you go to work. That's why I go to work. We all are trying to make as much money as we can. These schools and conferences are trying to do the same. But as a result, we get some banger games in week 1 of the college football season. Will be really, really fun because of that. 12-team playoff, the expansion there, and also expanding some of these conferences to now where there's a little bit more of an incentive to schedule some of these big-time games. That's going to wrap it up for a Tuesday edition of Overtime. We appreciate you listening along with us. Make sure to join Talk Sports tomorrow morning from 7 to 10 right here on Fan Run Radio. And also, go download the VIP Play app. Claim $100 in bonus bets by using the code FANRUN. That's FANRUN in all caps. Gambling problem, call 1-800-889-9789. Must be 21 years or older and located in Tennessee to bet. For Tyler Barber, I'm William Patterson. We'll see you next time.
His camp is going well for him. Notice how no one's talking about Russell Wilson's a guy. No, Russell Wilson. There's been no talk about Russell Wilson. how it's going to go is this. Jackson Dart's not going to start the season because Russell Wilson's not going to do anything to lose the job. They gave Russell Wilson the gig. They want to bring Jackson Dart along and make sure they put him in a position to succeed. So what's it going to be? It's going to be Russell Wilson for the first part of the year, and there will be some games where he's fine, and then he'll run out of gas just like he did last year. And by week 8, 9-ish, midway point of the season, it's going to be time for Jackson Dart. And you have to do it because he's a first-round pick, right? First-round quarterbacks don't sit on the bleeping bench. It doesn't go that way for an entire season. You're a first-round quarterback. You are going to play. So how it's going to go is kind of how it went for Russell Wilson last year. Some weeks where he looks good, some weeks where he doesn't. Now, obviously, he's not on as good a team as he was last year. Giants' defense is pretty good, but not quite the team that he was overall, where, hey, just come out, don't make mistakes, execute, 2 really good running backs, all this going on. But this is kind of how it goes, is Russell Wilson's at the end.